What is up, everybody? What is cracking?
What up? What up?
We have want to welcome you all, obviously, to the show today. We have a very interesting one, important one. We have none other than Rachel Bond is in the building.
Yay.
She is my sister-in-law. Hey, girl, how you doing?
Good.
Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much for being on the show.
We appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'm honored, and this is a really important topic. So
It is.
You are our fourth guest, I believe, right?
Is it our fourth guest? I think you might be our fourth guest.
Yes.
under 10.
Yeah.
I'm pumped.
We don't have a gift or anything for you. I'm sorry.
This is the gift. Time with you.
We got some Gatorade Zero for you. So today's topic, you guys, obviously, we kind of all know what happened, right? About a week ago or so. You know, they call it the slap heard around the world, right?
Slap.
With Will Smith and Chris Rock. But we're not here to talk about that. We're not here to talk about the slap itself. We're talking about what was said, correct? When Chris Rock spoke to Jada about, the G.I. Jane joke. Mm-hmm. Later to find out that Jada actually suffers from alopecia. And we decided that we wanted to kind of get you on the show to kind of help shed light on alopecia and just
spread some awareness for just people that don't know.
Absolutely.
A lot of people are just ignorant. They're not ignorant, but just ignorant to that subject, So
100%.
Absolutely.
We'd love to, I think first we should just start off with what alopecia is exactly, and then just go from there.
I agree.
Okay.
You want to start?
I can. I am no expert doctor or anything like that, but I can give you my knowledge of the disease. It is an autoimmune disease.
Okay.
It does not affect a person internally in terms of like when you hear disease, you think illness, you know, like physical pain. It's not that. It's the way that it manifests is hair loss. So what happens is that your body thinks that there is like an invader there, like a regular illness, and your immune system is actually attacking its own healthy cells.
Right.
Yeah, there is no invader.
But it thinks it's protecting itself?
Mm-hmm. So basically you have a really overactive immune system.
Wow.
And then what happens is that your hair follicle cup gets really traumatized. Everybody has a hair follicle cup that the hair grows out of.
Right.
And what happens is when you have alopecia and you have episodes of loss, your hair follicle cup gets really stressed out and closes. So then the hair that was there gets pushed out or lost.
Right.
And then the hair that could come through gets stuck. Like it just can't. There's no opening.
Like a blockage almost.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And is that because the inflammation? Is that what closes it?
There is a lot of inflammation when it comes to that. Yeah, that's why they actually associate it sometimes with lupus. So I've been tested for a number of autoimmune diseases, including lupus, because they can often go hand in hand.
Okay.
I do not have any of those.
Sure, that's good.
That was a blessing to find that out.
Yeah. And that's why we are having Rachel on the show today, y'all, because you, like many other women as well, and men, and like we talked, do I say suffering from alopecia or?
So I think that is such an individualistic kind of thing that has to be decided. Like me personally, I've never... I was talking to my husband, Lucas, about this and asked him, have you ever heard me say anything other than I have alopecia?
Yeah.
And he said, no, not really. So for me, it's just something that I have.
Okay.
Obviously there are times where suffering is an issue.
Yeah.
Emotionally, psychologically. But there isn't a physical suffering. Like obviously there can be manifestations of physical suffering that come with things like depression or anxiety that can come in hand with a disease like this.
Okay.
But the disease itself,
no,
I don't say I'm suffering because it can't take a day off my life.
Yeah.
I will not die from this. It's not going to cut my life short.
Yeah.
The disease itself. So yeah, no, I don't say I'm suffering. It's just something that I have. It's a part of me.
Thank you. I mean, that really helps clarify. And, for someone like me, especially, I didn't know how to ask that, right? So.
But I want to say that a lot of other people would maybe say differently. This is a very individualist thing.
Awesome.
So it affects everybody differently.
Sure. So, and there's no cure for it, is there?
Not right now. No.
There is treatment, though.
There are. So actually, we were just talking about the Suicide Awareness Month.
Yeah.
September is... I mean, that's October, you said, and September is actually Alopecia Awareness Month.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I was looking online about what they have to say about their upcoming events for this upcoming September, and they're just... One of the big things that they highlight is that they're going to keep having this monthly awareness every year until there is a cure.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what they say, word for word. So there is not one right now, but there are many treatments, and I have done a lot of them.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to ask, too, like, when did you start, like, noticing the signs that you were developing alopecia?
Yeah, that's a great way to say it. So I lost a silver dollar size amount. Oh, it's right here. Hi, friends. Hi. I keep going to you.
We got the wide shot, too, so you
I'm
don't
learning,
worry.
y'all. Okay, this is my first podcast. But a silver dollar size amount, and that's pretty typical with, so there's 3 different types of alopecia, but that's really, really typical with the first type, which is called alopecia areata.
Areata.
Areata, areata. And that is kind of like the least, I don't know if invasive is the right word, but the least invasive stage. So I lost it at the nape of my neck. I was at college with a girlfriend, putting my hair up, going to class. My roommate said, "Girl, you got a bald spot, the back of your neck," and I had no idea. I mean,
you said you had a college photo, right? Kind of when you were in college.
Yeah, I do. This is me. Right here on the right. Is that right?
Yeah, you got it. Okay.
And I had pretty long, I mean, down here, went pretty far in my back.
Yeah.
Pretty long, dark hair. And so then when I put it up in that ponytail, I just had never noticed it. But my friend did, and I was kind of thankful because I don't know if I
would have noticed.
Until somebody said something.
So that means there was no itching, tingling, burning, nothing like that.
Nothing like that. I was completely aware until someone told me about it.
Right.
And then it stayed that way so that was my sophomore year of college, and it stayed that way for the remainder of the school year. It was about 9 months. And then it just healed itself. My hair grew back. And I didn't really think twice about it. I didn't go to the doctor. My mom thought it was stress from college. She even was like, "You always wear sweatshirts. It could be the hood rubbing on your neck."
Yeah,
I mean,
we were like, you had no idea what it was. Like,
have you ever even heard of alopecia back then?
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
No, not at all. Not at all. So it was, and then it unfortunately came back in the exact same place, in the exact same size, that silver dollar size.
Oh, okay.
About 2.5 years later, and it was about 2 or 3 months after I got married, so I always blame my husband. I'm saying, you stressed me out.
Way to go, Luke.
Yeah.
Well, that's crazy. You said the same exact spot, too?
Same size. Silver dollar, nape of the neck, like right here, nape of your neck.
Yeah.
And then, unfortunately, didn't stop there. That's when it started to proceed.
Okay.
So that was the summer of 2005. And here we are, and it hasn't, it's had come and gone in stages, but it hasn't ever just like disappeared. I have never gone back to my normal baseline.
How long has it been? You said like 16 years? Wow.
Yeah, because I've been married, I'll be almost 17 in May.
16 years is like a lifetime ago.
Wow.
I mean, and I was only 23 when I got it.
Happy anniversary, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, so I've had it for a really long time. So honestly, it's kind of a huge part of who I am. I mean, almost half my life, or like half my life. I'm coming up on 16 years here. So, and then so I had that nape of the neck, and then it just followed its way kind of like behind my ears, and then I lost sideburns, and it is very interesting to see your face without sideburns. I don't think that you really realize how much that they do add to the face.
Right.
And it kind of went up this way, so my hairline was receding, and that was kind of hard.
Yeah.
And then I ended up with 2 bald spots here. And at that point, I had been covering it with different things. Hats, bandanas, whatnot. But up until that point. But then I finally was like, I can't really hide this that well anymore. It's like just strings.
Yep.
Let's just be done. So I just started buzzing it, and I cut it, and then I started buzzing it and called my husband into the bathroom, and he was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Finish this for me, please." And he, been supportive of my beautiful bald head ever since.
Yeah. How did you feel like as you're cutting your hair off? Was it very emotional?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
Because hair is a big part of a woman's identity, and
100%. Yeah, it was. Well, I want to say it was a little bit freeing.
Freeing, sure.
Because I had been trying to hide it for so long.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit liberating. But it was definitely, it was emotion evoking, because everything that I had left that I could like tweak or kind of, hide a certain way but let it poke out still showed other people that I did have a little bit of hair.
Yeah.
You go straight bald, and then a lot of people think cancer.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I dealt with a lot of that, especially with kids. I mean, I worked with kids, so I was around them all the time. And kids have no filter, and they're sweet.
Yeah.
And they're not
Honest.
trying to hurt.
Yeah.
They're just curious.
It's like, do you have cancer?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like all the time at parks. Just random
Right.
kids. Yeah.
If I could share a story real quick, just to let the viewers know, my stepdaughter, she has alopecia, and she has had it ever since I can remember, you know, and like when I first met her, she had a bald spot right here. It was probably about that size.
Okay, yep. That silver dollar.
Yep. And it progressed as yours did, and eventually had come to the point where she cut her hair off. But the funny thing is, like, not the funny thing, but like when we went out and about, people thought she had cancer. And people would like buy her ice cream and shit. Like we'd be at the fair, and old woman would come up like, I'll buy her some ice cream, Like we just ride it. I'm like, oh, thank you.
Sweet.
I mean, honestly, like, how can you be offended?
Right.
I mean, maybe some people can be, but like...
No, not at all. We always, Clay always felt kind of bad. Like, oh, should I say so?
I would have been like, give me some ice cream too while you had it.
Free
Like,
ice
hey,
It's
get
happened.
that mint chocolate chip, bro.
like, I'm all too, baby.
It's happened several times where people thought she had cancer and wanted
I actually started to wear more head coverings. I did rock the bald for a little bit, and I started to wear more head coverings as those incidents started to increase. And it actually was a little bit more for other people than myself in the beginning. I kind of was confident rocking my bald head. I thought, I look okay bald. I got a cute little head.
Yeah.
But because I was getting so many questions, and it just seemed kind of confusing for the kids, and I worked with kids.
Right.
And, and when kids hear cancer, they can associate it with real pain and even death. And I just didn't want anybody in my care worrying about that.
Well, and that's crazy because, like you just said, I mean, the fact that people associate it right with cancer just goes to show you that alopecia isn't talked about as much, right?
Not enough.
And then you got this whole thing that happens at the Oscars, and all of a sudden it's the number one subject, right? So,
which I'm kind of like, it's not an optimal situation. But again, we're not going to talk about the slap. But
I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. Right. Thank you.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I was working on it.
But it's brought it to the forefront of social media, the news.
I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Like it sucks it had to be Chris Rock getting smacked
Yes.
by none other than
Fresh
Will
Prince.
I know.
You hear that? I don't want to say it, but you hear that joke when people are like, what do you call Chris Rock's face? Fresh Prince. Dang, that was bad. I murked that joke. Fresh Prince.
Oh, Prince! Oh no, that's great. No,
I probably butchered that, but you're right. Like, it took the Oscars and what happened there to actually start to bring light on it, and then it started to come out that Jada started saying, "Yeah, I've been talking about this. No one's really been listening and stuff." So
I had been, but.
And I agree with Jean when you were saying, as a female in today's society, right? Like when you talk about the standards of what y'all are supposed to look like, how did that really affect you? Like, so you said it really affected you mentally. So you want to talk a little bit about the mental health side?
Sure. Yeah. I do want to know that the timing when I got my alopecia diagnosis was not optimal. Again, poor choice of words, but really, because I was an adult, and I was pretty secure in who I was.
Right.
I know 23 is young, but I had come into my own, and I was, married to a man who made me feel like the most beautiful woman in the world.
Yeah.
With hair, and then eventually without. And so
Right.
I've had nonstop support. I've had love. I've still been made to feel sexy as fuck from,
Absolutely.
from my husband. But then, of course, there are plenty of moments where I'm super stressed out going to a wedding or a big event where I need to, I can't.
Dress up.
Yeah, I need to dress up. A
have
knit
your-
hat isn't going to do it with a fancy
Right.
dress or whatnot.
And you're trying to convince yourself, like, don't care what people think. Don't care, but it still
you do.
kind of affects you in a certain way.
Yeah, I mean, you want to look the part, and then for me, wigs are difficult. I prefer to wear a knit hat or some sort of a cap or a bandana just because they're a lot of work, and I'm so used to now not having any hair on my face.
Yeah.
So then when it's on my
weird
face,
to
I'm like,
have-
"Ugh, whose hair is that? Gross.
Yeah.
But so there's that stressful moments trying to make that work. That women who have their natural hair, I mean, everybody will curl it or do whatever to fancy it up, but it's just it is a little bit more difficult. And then I mean, I have anxiety, I have depression. A lot of it stems from childhood trauma, not from alopecia, but it's
Right.
definitely had an effect on my mental
Take all
health.
the rest of that and then pile
That
alopecia
on
top of
absolutely. Well, I mean, they say that a woman's hair is often considered it can be considered your crown. You've probably
Right,
heard that.
okay.
Oh yeah.
And I wasn't so into my hair that I was absolutely devastated. But now I regret all the complaining I ever did about having thin, fine hair.
Yeah.
I just enjoy what you got while you still have it. Girl, male, female, whatever.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, and just wondering, am I sick? Trusting the doctors to know that they're telling me that I'm not sick inside,
Yeah.
that this isn't going to take any time off of my life. It's scary. Your hair starts falling off, and then they're saying, what the reasons are, and you're saying, are you sure?
Right.
Because this is not normal.
Run to Wikipedia or whatever, and WebMD, try to get your own diagnostic.
But I did see Dr. Hordinsky. She is the leading researcher in this nation. And
Who's that?
Dr. Hordinsky.
Hordinsky. Okay.
Hordinsky, I believe. She's at the U of M. So anybody local and they would like a real top-notch dermatology diagnosis
wow.
and relationship, that go to the U of M. Dr. Hordinsky. Awesome woman.
That's great, yeah.
And I did believe everything that she had to say. But you know where your mind can go.
Trust the doctors, trust the science.
But it's still scary. And
Yeah.
and then especially I want to say now not having hair, I don't have the same trauma that I did when it was falling out. That
okay.
was very stressful. Showering,
Just seeing
clumps of
clumps
it,
and yeah.
Lucas running his hand through my hair or myself.
How
And
long of a process was it?
It's been a hot minute and a lot of different stages for me personally. I've actually had all 3 different types of alopecia.
Mm-hmm.
I've had alopecia areata, then I went to alopecia totalis, then to universalis, which we can talk about. All these are.
Big names.
Yeah.
And then back now I'm at alopecia totalis. So I went from the silver dollar, then I went to the patchy, that's the totalis.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That the areata is the patchy, but I've went to totalis, which is a complete loss on the head.
Okay.
Then I went to universalis, which is the complete loss all over your entire body.
Right, okay. A
lot of women
So you had all 3.
And I think that last one. I mean, it's not the end of the world. You lose your armpit hair or some leg hair, especially as a female.
Not
that
helpful there.
takes
hey,
a little
I don't have
time.
to shave anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
But
And I mean, while we're talking about, with your eyebrows right now, you called it micrograzing, or what do you call that?
so that it can be one of the most traumatizing parts, I think, of this, is because you can not only lose the hair all over your body or your head, you can lose everything that's on your face.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to have hair in your nose, that is
It stops certain things from getting into your body.
100%.
Helps you not get sick.
You take that away, and what are you left with? And then it's amazing what the face can look like when you take away eyebrows and eyelashes.
Yeah.
It's just
You look totally different.
So different, almost like skeletal. Like you have the picture of the different steps that I sent you about microblading. You can see there's 2 pictures there where I don't have anything.
Yeah.
And that it just you look like a completely different person. You really, really do. And I used to have to draw on my eyebrows with
mascara or something?
No, what do you put on your eyelids?
Eyeliner?
No.
I don't even know. Like
eyeshadow. I don't wear that much makeup, but I would have to do them with eyeshadow and then Q-tips and literally draw it on. And then losing your eyelashes is just it's kind of a bummer, especially as a woman. You know, we use things like eyeliner and mascara to really accentuate that part of our face.
Right.
I had a blank can. I had nothing to work with, so I did do a little bit of fake eyelashes. Did
that kind of, like, when you talked about the whole freeing part, did that start to kind of help as you were going, like, become more and more freeing, like, feeling comfortable, you know? And at the same time, you're hitting back at society that's over here. Like, women are supposed to look like this. You have to have makeup. You have to be pretty and all this stuff. But you're kind of showing them that you don't need all that to still be beautiful, right? You know, so
I try, but I'm going to tell you that the stuff on the face was really, really, really difficult.
Yeah.
That was not freeing. That was probably one of the hardest parts of it for me.
Okay.
I've gotten really used to not having hair on my head or other parts of my body, but having to every day draw on your face to the point that I had to.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. And to make it look realistic, it's stressful.
Sure.
And then it prevented me from doing things like some swimming with my kids at the pool or our family cabin, because eyeshadow is just going to wash off and there goes my eyebrows.
Yeah.
So then that's why I started to realize I don't want this to affect the way that I interact with my children or to pull me back in any way from interacting with my children. So then I started exploring. They have temporary tattoos.
Yeah.
Started doing those.
Like henna or something?
They're literally like what you buy your kids.
Oh, okay.
And you just apply them with water and pull off but you got to get them all lined up.
That's a good thought, though, dude. I didn't even think of, like, the materials of henna, you know, for the hands and stuff.
Maybe a little bit more permanent. It would last a little longer than...
My mother got her eyebrows tattooed.
Oh, okay. Well, that is what microblading is. Mine are tattooed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So, eventually I wanted something even a little bit more permanent than the temporary tattoos, because those two, like, sometimes I would be sweaty and I would, like, rub and then there goes half your temporary tattoo. Like, you got one eyebrow left.
Right.
So then I did the microblading, and that is literally, they come in, they map out where your eyebrows are going to, the best for your shape. And then they have, like, this little tool and they cut the shape. Like, you both have wonderful defined eyebrows. I can see your individual...
Bria tweezes my eyebrows. So I'm gonna let everybody know right now. That's why they on fleek right now. You know what I mean? Like, thanks, man. Shout out to Babe for hooking up those. Because, I mean, my stuff gets like...
Do you have a uni?
I mean, it's practically there.
You got a decent... chunk of brows.
Thick. I got a lot of bush going on here.
But I can see your individual lines, and that's what you try to go for with the microblading. They try to mimic those, and then they come in with like basically like a tattoo ink.
Yeah.
Let it set into those. They're cutting your face.
Yeah. Does it hurt?
Yes.
Like, yeah.
Yes.
I can only imagine.
Yes. It was extremely painful, and it can happen. You do it in, at least for the lady that I went through, in 3 different sessions.
Yeah.
Because they have to layer it. Now, right now, for this, I obviously have a little bit more of a brow going on with some extra makeup for this. But having had my eyebrows microbladed gave me the freedom to jump in the pool with the kids.
Yeah.
Exercise and get sweaty and not worry about it. Or just go out and not have it to do anything, and at least there's something there.
Right.
And since then, my eyebrows have started to grow in.
Oh, okay.
So,
there you go.
Yeah, and my eyelashes are fully in, and they're like the longest they've been. So
that's awesome.
They say sometimes your hair can change after you've had cancer and you've chemo and you've lost it, and sometimes people come back with a completely different texture, color. And I am fine with that. I don't care how it comes back, as long as it comes back. But I'm happy with the way what's here is here.
Right, take those wins.
I think it's so strange, like how, like with Cleo, my stepdaughter, right now she has a head full of hair. And then out of nowhere, it's happened before, it'll start thinning and losing, and then she'll go bald. And it's kind of a weird disease. Like, why does it come and go like that?
Talk about a mind fuck.
Yeah, I can only imagine. And I mean, I
Yeah.
see how it affects her. You know, like it's mental. You know, especially being a kid and dealing with all these assholes.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Social media.
I mean, I can't even
kids alone.
imagine.
Yeah,
I can't imagine. I cannot. That was one of the things that was so I'm so afraid of when I had my own biological children was.
I was just gonna ask.
Is this next for them? And then them having it, because a lot of it does start out in childhood. Actually, that's pretty common. Having it at that age and stage compared to I can't even relate to that. Even though I could relate if they did end up my kids getting alopecia. We had it at completely different points in our life and with completely different reactions and. So, my self-esteem, my confidence, I wouldn't, there's things that I wouldn't tolerate for that a kid just doesn't have the wherewithal or the words to be able to say you're hurting my heart right now, when kids are cruel or whatever. So,
I was actually
can't even imagine.
On the way here, and surprisingly, Sai was like, so you have Rachel on the show today, right? And I was like, yeah. I was like, we're gonna be talking about a few things and stuff. He was like, about her head, right? I was like, yeah. It's like, so you're talking about her cancer? And I'm like, no, buddy, she has alopecia. And he honestly thought, he was like, I always, that's what I thought, because when you lose your hair, that means you have cancer. So I had to kind of talk with him about this on the way to the house, and I was like blown away that I told him, I was like, dude, I want you to make sure, I told him what I knew as far as alopecia is. But I told him, I was like, always be okay with asking those kind of questions, and, it was crazy that he even thought that way, and never brought it up and stuff. And so.
You can only imagine what else kids think that we have no idea about.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
well, and I don't want him
such an asshole. I'm kidding.
That kind of breaks my heart. I mean, because I don't ever want him to have worry, extra worry, unnecessary worry for anybody in his family. But and he's only ever really known me this way, being how old he is, and
that's what was crazy about it. So he was legitimately kind of interested. Well, he was like, "Oh, really?" So I'm explaining to him what alopecia is and stuff. He goes, "Oh, okay." So it doesn't just fall out, and so I had to explain to him about cancer and radiation, and that's why the hair falls out and stuff like that. And it was very interesting, but at the same time, it was sweet of him too, because you're like, he's never brought it up and stuff, and I'm
never.
like, nobody, Rachel, Auntie Rachel's just fine. And
please tell him too that I am the type of person who is an open book with this.
Absolutely.
So if he ever has any questions, he's never going to hurt me.
Oh, for sure.
I would rather inform.
Yeah.
So that there's not any worry or anything on his part.
Yeah. Well, but it goes to show you again that it's not talked about enough.
It's not.
Stuff like this, like when you say with Kalea, I work at a school. I've never heard anyone during advisory hours that teach kids about alopecia. Not saying that they're wrong for not doing it, but they should talk about it, right?
I think we need a lot more funding for research so that we can get farther with awareness and cures. It does affect. It affects. I think it's about 2.1%.
2.1%
of which ends up being about. I think I had it on here. It's 6.8 million people.
Yeah,
6.8 million people in the U.S. alone. 147 million people worldwide.
Wow.
Yeah.
So.
That's more
prevalent.
than enough to talk about.
Yes,
absolutely.
I think so. But, they have this is really technical, but they do come up. I know, if you look at the NAAF.org, National Alopecia Areata Foundation.
Tongue twister.
It is. I'm sorry.
Every time you say areata, I think of areola for some reason. I don't know why. You too?
I'm not going to lie.
Every time you say that, I just think areola.
Areata. And I could be having a little southern drawl there. Other people might pronounce it differently. But they say even on their website, they talk about how, the FDA, is that? Yeah, the FDA. They don't work with them. They can't. They don't acknowledge any of their treatments or anything like that. I mean, a lot of it is because they haven't had enough money for the research and to get to that point.
Which always cracks me up in a certain way, because how do places like this, like alopecia or cancer research, like not have unlimited funding? You know what I mean? Like we have all this money to give all these basketball players, all these football
Our
players, country stars, rappers, you know,
military budget.
But it's like, well, we need funding for alopecia. Let me check our book real quick and just make up some random number. When we all know y'all just make money in a room. Money's not real. So why, you know what I mean? It's just paper. So that's just crazy, man.
It's our hope that more awareness will bring more funding.
I think that's the silver lining with Chris Rock getting the shit smacked out of him.
Honestly.
It's bringing awareness now.
Because that was a global platform. That was the Oscars.
Exactly.
Like, everybody caught it.
Yeah.
There's a little silver lining behind that. And we're literally talking about it right now because of it.
This is huge.
And that's so with alopecia, if you don't mind us asking, like, what is your take on that? Like, did you feel offended by Chris Rock's joke?
Okay, let's see. So immediately after seeing it, I posted a little something on Facebook and I just said, alopecia is not a joke.
Yeah.
But assault is not a problem solver. And to me, I think that they were both in the wrong.
Everybody loses.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah. I just feel like the platform that Chris Rock had, maybe he should have done a little bit more research with the joke.
It was a pretty lazy joke.
Yeah.
And the person receiving the joke, like,
that's the question. Did Chris Rock know she had alopecia? Now, if he knew that, then he's
that's
out
hurtful.
of pocket.
That's hurtful. And I think that's where Will Smith was coming from because I think I read something where he said, like, that's a part of my job, like for jokes to come at me or whatnot. But my wife's medical condition, nope. That doesn't need to be a part of your joke.
And he could have kind of handled it in a different way. Like we talked about earlier, he could have used that platform to really raise the awareness, you know what I mean? But like you said, that smack her around the world got people really talking about that.
I know. So. I just wish he would have gone up, put his arms around him, and just been like, hey, great joke. But let's talk about everybody, like, he could have used the people in the room and been like, let's pass something around. Get everybody contribute a little something. You got $100 in your pocket. Whatever. Let's pass it around and donate it.
And if he wanted to kind of go back and forth with Chris Rock, he could have took the mic and told him if you didn't know my wife has alopecia, how funny is your joke now? You know what I mean? But instead, he slaps the shit out of him. You know what I mean?
And Chris Rock did a documentary called Good Hair.
So come on. That's where my issue...
Right. He knows how it is for black women.
Especially black women.
Dealing with hair and issues with hair. And that was kind of insensitive of him to
100%. And I know alopecia is totally on my radar. So I did see her Red Table talk about it. And I have seen... But that doesn't mean that everybody else has. So I did try to keep a little bit of the benefit of it out.
You never...
I got to say, I did not know. So, she didn't, broadcast it. I don't know. I don't look up Jada that much and stuff. But at the same time, I mean, it is mind-blowing that once you find out, it's like, okay, how come she hasn't been so much more at the forefront of this? You know, someone as high in Hollywood and elite as you are, not utilizing your platform to talk about that more
I don't
often?
Follow her, doesn't she, though? Doesn't she speak
She has. Well, so she's been dealing with it for a couple years, I believe. I don't want to say, I don't know the exact amount, and hiding it, which a lot of people do. Do you guys remember Ricki Lake?
Yeah.
She has alopecia.
Really?
And she hid it her entire career and then came out, I don't know, it was a People article or something.
So is she wearing wigs that whole time then?
Hair pieces, wigs, yep.
While we're on the hair pieces, do you kind of want to talk to us a little bit about your display here?
Sure. So I just brought a couple examples of things that you can do to feel more feminine or play with the hair. So I do a lot of these knit hats, which actually Lucas's grandma Rosie knit for me, and she's since passed, so they're really special to me. And then there's
a sweet lady.
Bree, your wonderful wife, has tried to replicate some for me and taught herself how to knit.
Oh, I saw her in the process of it getting so frustrated. I stayed away.
I was so
she's
thankful.
so dedicated.
So thankful, but it's such a tricky thing because it's you wouldn't let just anybody work on your hair.
Right.
And I have to be comfortable with the fit.
Sure.
And I have a really small head. So it's really important that I this one on, I guess, the left.
One right here?
Yes, it looks like a hot mess. Chelsea's going to kill me. My sister-in-law styles them for me, and I haven't had her do it in a while. Plus, the kids are playing with the wigs. But this one on the left is a real hair wig.
Okay.
So that means it's been dyed.
Oh, wow.
It can be cut. Now, obviously, you have to be very careful because it's not going to grow out.
Yeah.
And you can use heat on it. So you can curl it, you can straighten it, whatever. And this is, not real hair. This is synthetic hair.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a lot cheaper. But it's also going to kind of like hold its shape a lot better than the real hair one. You can really tell that. Like, I haven't done anything to either of these in a while, and you can see that one's a little bit more of a hot mess. This one I bought to go to the Lizzo concert. I wanted to have something fun, but also comfortable.
Right.
So you have to look at so many different things. You have to look at the price. You have to look at, like, can I handle styling this wig? Do I have the tips and the tricks? And fit. Yeah.
I'm gonna share Clea's wig. This is one we had got for her several years ago, and it's real hair, and it's like over $1,000 for this thing.
When I heard about that, dude, I was like,
this is
what?
$1,700. I saved for birthdays and Christmases. I asked for money for forever.
Oh, I do remember that.
Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
And I saved up. And
that's crazy how much they are, but Clea didn't like it. It was uncomfortable, kind of itchy, and just didn't get much use.
And that's a topper, and if you can even take it off and turn it inside out, and you can show people if you or I could do it if you're not as comfortable. You can show people that so you can see, I don't know if you'll ever need to do a close-up, but you can see that it's kind of see-through here. So that's supposed to help mimic your scalp.
Got it.
And blend in with what you already have. And then this very well could have been bothering her. I mean, this is the thing that you do have to deal with when you wear wigs. Sometimes it's a wig cap that you have to protect what's existing, what hair you have existing.
Okay.
Or this is just for comfort, but it's another thing you have to put on your head that you guys just, you guys don't have to. No, or people who have a full head of hair don't have to worry about.
Yeah.
And then these little clips.
Justin doesn't got a full head of hair. You gonna beat me up for a joke?
Keep my head out your mother. I'm just kidding.
The next slap from around the world. But these, for a topper, this helps
breathe.
This helps breathe, but these clips help keep it in place. But it's also relatively uncomfortable. You've got metal on your scalp, poking into you. But that's how you keep something like this, a topper on.
Do you mind if I try one of these wigs?
Absolutely not. Which one? Do you want?
Oh.
So here's the thing: you can spend.
It's like Arcane. Jinx.
What?
It's a new animated show on Netflix. Great show.
So, you can also do something. This is synthetic, but this has also the little clippies, which I would eventually. I haven't worn this one out yet. I would just take them off. I don't need them.
Okay.
And it would just bother me. You can just it's really easy to cut them off.
Okay.
Clip them off. But most wigs will have this tightening.
It's like bra straps.
It sure is, because we all have different size noggins, and I always have to go on the tightest because I have such a
small
little
head.
Tiny cue ball head. Yeah. But then this is
That's definitely
just
not
fun.
gonna fit Jay.
Yeah.
This is just fun, and this is $30 on Facebook. It's okay to spend $1,700, $1,000, but you don't have to.
Look like with the natural.
I think you should do this.
This one, all right.
That's what I think you should do.
This one reminds me of who's that one girl who does those songs where Chandelier?
Oh, Sia.
Yeah, isn't this like her hair?
Yeah, except she usually has it go over her face to hide her identity. She always has big curtain bangs.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So
she used to.
How do I do it? Do I just go back and then like this?
You'd have to take your headphones off.
Oh yeah, hold on real quick.
But yeah, so you could do that way. Yep, pull it up, and then you just have to make sure you hold it here while pull the back down so they kind of, and it's going to be way too tight on your head, and then you'd want to push it back even a little bit, because a lot of people, the mistake they make with wigs is push it too far forward, and that looks really unnatural. You look good.
What's up, y'all? I look. Do I look like I write some really deep ass music and stuff like?
You look like you should be chewing a banana. Like, I'm gonna get that new job.
I just speak from the soul.
I mean, Yes, this is like, you could be a romance novel, like the people who read for it, but that gets you a character.
I did, bitch. I gotta get the hair flat though. Like,
do you ever want to meet the lady who donated this? I think it'd be interesting to like meet.
It would be amazing.
Look at them from afar, just see like what they look like.
It would be amazing. And you know what is really cool is that having this has brought awareness to my children, and 2 of the kids have already donated their hair multiple times.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Riley's donated it twice, and Nora.
Riley's donated her hair? Oh, wow. That's a shout out to Riley.
Yeah.
Thanks, girl.
That's what's up.
That's what's up.
If you want to donate your hair, there are plenty of places. So anything 10 inches above can go towards a female wig.
Okay.
Nora ended up doing about 9 inches, so hers went.
Oh, wow. Shout out to Nora as well. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Good job, girls.
Hers is probably more of like a wig for a male.
Okay.
Because it doesn't have like the length.
You think I could donate my beard?
What'd you say? I didn't hear what you said right there. All right, I'm going to get this one out. What were you saying about your beard?
Do you think I could donate my beard locks to...
So I
want them dry beard locks.
I like the locks on you. I wouldn't cut them. Yeah.
Thanks, kidding.
I gotta say,
that was a shot from the bald joke.
Okay, and I would say don't ask me because I'm not a wig maker. You know?
I think it's India where everybody cuts their hair at a certain time in their life.
Yeah.
And donates it to like the temple or something. And
is that when they're really little? Or is it?
I don't know at what point of their life they do it, but they all do it at some point where they go bald headed, every woman, then
wow,
they use that good Indian hair for wigs, I guess.
Well, plenty of people will. That's how they make they make money off of it.
So you said Indian women sell the most hair? Is that what you're saying? Or?
So Indian, not Native American, but yeah, Indian women, they cut their hair at some point in their life.
They have like the best hair or something like
that.
They
really do.
Were saying, right?
They really do.
The Indian hair.
Yeah.
For the real hair wigs, most is going to consist of hair from India. Right. Is what the lady that I bought that from, her name is Jan. And she has a little private studio in St. Louis Park. It's called It's Still Me.
Hey, shout out to Jan, and it's still me.
Cancer survivor herself.
Oh, okay.
But she wanted to provide a safer space, more intimate space for her cancer patients or her alopecia patients. So it's really just a one-room store.
Maybe we should get a hold of Jan one of these days.
I could give you. She's wonderful, but she has. So it's just a very intimate experience. It's you and her and whoever you bring. It's not a huge salon or a big wig store for those people who don't feel as comfortable, showing off what you got underneath whatever it is that you're wearing when you're trying things on. Okay. So it's just a very peaceful place. And Jan got me that wig. Jan also introduced me to these are wig grip is what they're called, and it's just another way for people like me who've lost everything to have a little bit more support and a barrier in between your baldness and the wig. Okay. And it helps it stick as well, because when you don't have anything to apply those little clips into, anybody could come up to me and just be like, and then there it goes.
Yeah.
And that'd be a bummer.
Yeah.
So this helps it stick. And Jan also introduced me to these types of head coverings. So when I wear these, I do think a lot more people associate these types of things with cancer. And so I do feel a little bit more self-conscious when I'm walking around with one of these on, because I just think that they are assuming I have cancer.
Yeah.
But they're just too convenient to pass up, because this is what, they dry really easily. This is what I take to, whether it's the rec center or our cabin. Yep. And at the cabin, I take it off and tan it up, but not all day do I want to, have my head exposed. I do have to be very careful.
Yeah.
Because it's
like,
do you think that's cultural appropriate?
That's a great question.
I'm kidding.
Oh, you're kidding? Okay, well, I've thought about it.
I can see one of my aunties wearing that.
I've 100% thought about it.
Yeah.
Believe me, as a white person,
I'm kidding, though.
Well, but I think it's something... I love you. But I do think it's something to consider as a white person searching for hair pieces, wigs, whatever it might be. It is absolutely something to consider.
Sure.
Are you being, appropriate? Are you stealing from someone else? I would never do like a braided wig that looks like box braids or something like that, even though I would love to. There's so many wigs for African American women that are just like, God, I wish I could rock that, but it's not.
You could. Cardi B's wearing Indian hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. it's a fine
can have a
line.
Jerry
I mean, just
curl
don't show up with like an afro or so. You know what I mean?
But those are honestly, they have these wigs that are headband wigs,
Yeah.
and they are so easy to put on, and there are so many that rock that natural
Yeah.
African American black hair
Right,
Yeah.
right.
that I can't do, but they're made for that woman who just has to quick throw something on.
And
They
that's
just
a
haven't
really-
quite done that for the white
and that's a really
people
good
hair.
topic, you know, that we could like have one of these days. You know, I got a couple of friends of mine that I would love to have on the show and get their perspective on that.
Yeah,
and everything.
absolutely.
So,
And I wish that there was I've thought about just putting it on social media, like, who out there could help me?
yeah.
Because I don't you said auntie or whatever. Like, there's often there's generational things being taught.
Yeah.
Grandma to whoever, when it comes to African American hair. Yes?
Right.
Would
Yeah.
you say that? And I just don't have anybody with experience.
I was actually going to ask too, because you do follow a few social media groups,
Mm-hmm.
right? That kind of talk about alopecia. Some are people that have it themselves, right? And some just awareness and stuff. So
And some wig sites, and a majority of the stuff on there is African American hair.
yeah.
But I get so many tips and tricks.
Yeah.
Because there's the pros.
We'll make
honestly.
sure, we'll make sure we put those y'all in the description below. All the information that you sent us for sure, to make sure that y'all, if you are interested in any of that kind of information, it should be down in the description below and stuff. So.
And there's a lot of different perspectives. There's a man who has alopecia who
Yeah.
rocks his bald. And then there's a female who really doesn't ever want to show her bald, so she kind of shows you a little bit more of like the cover-ups. Congresswoman Presley. I mean, if you
Yep.
and she's just a boss. Talk about global platform as well.
Right, right.
Because she wore a braided wig for a really long time, and it was her signature look. And then she just said, "Screw it," one day.
And just took it
Showed the
out.
world.
Right.
Yeah, and now she rocks the bald a lot, the majority of the time.
You know, I think I have alopecia in my beard. Like, you can't see it.
Yeah, I
now,
remember you
but
talked about this before. This is
like November, December, January-ish, I always lose my hair. There's a little patch.
Over the
that
winter.
Yeah, and I heard that winter months kind of people start. Have you noticed that? Like, you lose more hair in the winter months opposed to the summer?
I don't know if I'm observant enough. I've just been so bald. Like, I am bald. Like, and
Yeah.
I can take all this off, but I have like next to nothing. And
like,
it's
do you mind showing everyone?
No,
or?
not at all. It's just have to take this off.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Awesome, beautiful as ever.
So I do tend to get a tan line a lot from
Sure.
my, and so then like I'll go to say a place I feel comfortable, like the cabin, and I'll try
Yeah.
to even it out with a little tan.
Yeah.
And I also do have something called dermatillomania, and it's a skin picking
Right.
disorder. And
Okay.
so you can see I have some active
Yeah.
spots, and then you can see where I have destroyed my noggin and in the scarring. A lot of that has to do with my OCD and my anxiety, but it's also something that I really think I have immediate access to. And if I had hair, I don't think I would use this as my like picking canvas.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It's just so accessible. And if I get one little like pimple or something, I just go to town on it.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
It does. And
is what it
like
is.
you said, it's been 16 years now, and it's just really good to see you kind of in content. You're like happy where you are right now to be able to come on our show, to be able to talk about this. And like we said, I mean, you're absolutely gorgeous, girl. I mean, you with hair or without,
You're the best. Well, and another little
you can
trick.
pay me that $20 afterwards
Later.
for saying that. I'm just kidding.
I also will rock earrings. And
Yeah.
to kind of mimic something just like down my neck to make me feel a little bit more like I have hair. There's all sorts of things that you can do, little
Yeah.
tips and tricks,
Okay.
to get you to where you feel comfortable and you can live your life to the fullest.
Right.
I
You
don't
said
ever
it.
want this to hold me back from living my life.
Yeah.
So the earrings kind of give you that
A little
feel.
bit.
Okay.
Yeah, I used to even rock long scarves that I would wrap. I've even like put a ponytail holder and made it feel like hair. I don't
Yeah.
do that anymore, but I wrap it like a bun. Yeah, there's a couple of things. I work with some Somali women, and they've showed me how to do a few wrapping techniques. That's just another thing that for fun. I don't wear that on the regular.
Yeah.
But they just, just generous people trying to help in any way to make you feel comfortable, beautiful, confident, whatever it might be.
Right.
Yeah, and if anyone has like any questions about alopecia, the 3 types or anything like that, or even want to share your story, please feel free to drop anything in the comments. Share your story with us. We are always open to doing like phone calls and stuff like that later down the road. And we're honored to have you here, to be able to give you a platform to, share your story about everything. And we're, I don't want to say we're proud of you. I think it's just amazing what you're doing, though. There's a lot of people that could be watching this and feel, like you said earlier, that don't want to go out, that haven't told themselves. I mean, when you look at Jada and like Ricky and all them, they're mega superstars, and even they didn't want to come out first and talk about that. So, I mean, kudos to you to having that, the
big ups.
Yeah. It is very, very personal. So I will never judge anybody for, their timeline, their relationship with their alopecia or whatever hair product they end up going with. There's just other things to worry about for me. It's not worth taking up my mind attic and stressing out. And stress does make episodes of loss worse. You have to be aware of that when you have alopecia. You have to know that. So you can, have whatever tips and tricks and tools in your toolbox to try to minimize that.
That's why
it can
it's
make
important
it so
to keep
much
talking
worse.
to the kids about it so that they know, kids need to know that so they don't trigger it.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I have brought it to with my work with whether it's daycare or working at an elementary school. We always talk about it.
Oh, okay.
I ask whoever I'm working with, can we please talk about it, because they're gonna have questions, and it would be better to just address it.
Yeah.
And then we can talk about reactions. What's appropriate or kind, what could hurt someone's heart, and this is kindergarten level.
Yeah.
These kids, though, they take it in. They like we usually do like an all about me drawing where you have to do your self-portrait, and I do it every time bald, because I want them to ask questions, and I want them just
and normalize it.
Absolutely. Let's normalize it. Absolutely. And I want to say one other thing in normalizing the situation.
Yeah.
Talk to your insurance. Like, I feel like insurance companies are a huge detriment to this. Yes, I have had multiple prescriptions for wigs as a prosthetic.
Oh.
So I've had a dermatologist write me a prescription saying that this is a prosthetic. There's a medical necessity and reasons for this person.
So they can help cover some of the expenses to purchase these wigs and stuff.
Yes.
Got you.
Wonderful on the part of the doctor.
Yeah.
Insurance has never accepted it. Multiple times that we've tried.
Oh, really?
Right. See, that's ridiculous,
All
man.
that money they make.
Wow.
It's very disappointing.
There's
because
just
if you have a
restrictions and stuff,
doctor saying that this is medically necessary,
right?
It's a prosthetic. It's a prosthetic.
Yeah. But do you have proof, though? It's lit. I'm a doctor. I'm telling you. But do you have proof? You know what I mean? Like,
well, and I
that's
think
crazy.
They think they see it as like it's not a typical prosthetic, like an arm or a leg or whatever that you need in order to really function day to day. This can be just like that for a lot of people, I think.
That's important to know. Thank you for
such
sharing
a bummer.
that.
It's just such a bummer, and I think we need to raise more awareness on that side of things too. Because if the doctors are aware of it, your dermatologist, whatever, they're trying to do their best, and then they're just getting shut down.
Yeah.
Is there do you have like a favorite? Is there a spot where people say somebody wanted to donate to the cause? Do you have
there are
charitable? But what's the word I want to use?
Like donations or
like is there
organizations, nonprofit? It's a good question, bro.
Excellent question, and I'm so bummed that I didn't ask Chelsea where she has donated my kid's hair. So if maybe that's something we can ask her and put on the information
we can
section.
Put that. You find that information out. We can look into it as well.
Where to donate hair?
Because she's done that for me, and I just am losing it right now. And then so the NAAF.org website has a ton of places that you can, and it would go. I just think that would be valuable, the most valuable, because it will go to the right places. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It would go to the research grants that they already have going on. And they have a list of all of that information, so you can see that it's legit going like to the right places, you know.
Right.
We'll put that information up.
Okay.
And so
Yeah.
if there's anybody out there that wants to donate their hair or money,
Absolutely.
I'm gonna try to donate these joints, man, when I'm done with it.
Are you thinking
There's
about
gotta be
change?
somebody out there that wants this
I
on
don't
their head.
know,
Some
maybe.
homeless guy on the south side of Minneapolis right now would rock
That's
this.
a lot of hair. Like it could, if it could be used. I mean, that
That's
could
4
be.
years of hair.
Are you thinking about being like
No, I'm not.
changing anytime soon?
No.
Changing it up? Because that was a lot of like time
A
for
lot
growth.
of dedication.
Yeah,
for
I'm
sure.
not. I'm just saying when I do.
It could be like a hat to
these
wear
joints,
during the
man.
winter and shit.
I'd rock it.
Donate it.
I'd rock it. I'm telling you. Yeah.
Gino, do you have any more questions for Rachel?
I don't. We kind of you covered a lot.
Yeah.
And we appreciate all the information and
Yeah.
for being here because I think it's
Yes.
very important, man, to make awareness about this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Too many people don't even know what alopecia is.
Yeah.
And like you said, 6.8 million
In the U.S.
people
alone.
in the U.S. have it.
And there's multiple types. Like I didn't even know that. I
And
thought it
that's-
was all just
There's
one thing.
areola. The one of the other two. Sorry.
Nippleitis.
Oh, yeah, well, how can we remember these? Yeah, and I have. It's well. So, and that's the other interesting thing is that you can cycle between the 3 different types. It can come and go, and there is no like rhyme or reason to this. Like they cannot predict when it's going to resolve itself. It can resolve itself,
Yeah.
like you already said
Yeah.
with Kalea,
Yeah.
and then come back.
Yeah.
It's just that's where it gets to be a little bit of a mind fuck.
Yeah, that's just an asshole disease right
Yeah,
there. You're going to
it
leave
is.
for 5 years and then come back. I'm back.
Bitches. I mean, yeah. That's the part where it can be really like,
Right.
and
Which is crazy too, because like you said earlier in the beginning of the interview, where you're like, you know, it's almost like the body's trying to protect itself from some unknown entity when it turns out it's actually itself.
Yeah,
it's fighting against its.
Wow.
I
Yeah.
do have another question for you before we get off. Do you find yourself getting sick less since you have such a active
Ooh, good
immune?
question.
100. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do.
So you
Yeah.
are you one of those that barely get sick ever?
I barely get sick. I like working with kids. Also, I think helped with my immune system
Sure.
because they're walking, talking germs.
Yeah.
But
Facts.
facts. But I do think that I have an overactive immune system.
Clea's the same way.
Is she?
Hardly ever gets sick.
And when she does get sick, does she get really sick?
Yeah,
Because
yep.
that's kind of how I
Yep.
am. When I do get sick, it's really sick, but it's only like once every a couple years.
Yeah, very far and in
Yeah.
between. It's crazy.
So I guess like, hey, that's a benefit.
Yeah, that's a
Let's
benefit.
take that. Let's go with
Take
that.
that. Take that.
Yeah.
Definitely a
Yeah,
benefit.
yeah. And one other thing with the mental health, I just want to say that it can be very, very scary when you have this and then you choose to have your own biological children. I just think it's important. That can also be something a bit of like I think anybody who has any pre-existing condition, when they're passing on their genetics, they can worry
Yeah.
Yeah.
and have this guilt. And that was a definite worry for me with my kids, especially with my girls, 2 girls.
Yeah.
And when Riley was born, besides she's healthy, she has 10 toes, 10 fingers, it was, she has some hair.
She has
Yeah.
hair.
It was just this way to start it off. Like, okay, we started it off right. Like,
Right.
because the research back then when I had a child, she's 13, was saying that if you had 5 biological children, chances are one of them could end up with alopecia at some point in their life.
Wow.
This is the power that comes through funding and research. We now know that's not the case.
Yeah.
You have to right now, and I hope I'm saying this correctly, not a geneticist, but you have to have markers from both bio parents.
Yeah.
And that's just very unlikely.
Yeah.
But when I learned that,
That took a lot of weight off your shoulders and stuff. Wow.
as a parent, it did.
Yeah.
It really did, because I don't want
you don't
anybody to have to go
Yeah.
through this, know? And so that right there is just like another reason, like, let's just keep pushing
Yeah. Absolutely.
to find out more so that those of us that are dealing with it can just handle it better or, have the most information possible ready at our fingertips in terms of like current treatments.
Yeah.
Whatever they might be.
And if anyone knows like this kind of stuff, again, please put it in the comments. Share this video with someone that might have it, or you might yourself be dealing with it. Just do whatever to help raise awareness, help really get the information out there, right? Because that's the end game. We want to make sure we have enough out there for them. So
Absolutely.
well, again, Rachel, thank you so much for taking time to be on our show.
Honored that you came.
I truly feel like, I don't know. What do you think? I think I leveled up from from information on this.
I think so. I think
lot.
our viewers probably are going to level up a lot.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people that know nothing about this autoimmune disorder, and now people know a little bit more, a lot more. So
I hope so.
Big ups to you for sharing your story.
Thank you so much, Rachel, for being on the show. Thank you, Will, for slapping Chris Rock and bringing attention to this. I'm kidding. I love Will and I love Chris.
What a bummer.
I hope it all goes out. But with that being said, though, again, yes, thank you so much for being on the show. And we would love to have you again on maybe sometime later in the future. We can talk a little bit more about it. Maybe Kalea, who knows? It'd be great to have her on the show as well. So
one day,
we'll look out for y'all. Look out for the video to come out again. We'll have all the information in the comments, in the description, and please add your comments. Share your story with us, just like Rachel did with us.
I'm interested to hear too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, sweet. Well, thank you guys very much.
Hey, thank you for leveling up with Gene.
I'm Jay, and we'll see y'all later.